Welcome to the maze of the mind. Tonight, I urge you to venture into the shadows, to study the invisible hands that pull at the strings of human conduct. This is not a lesson on morals. This is a revelation, one that will drive you to examine all you believe you know about control, influence, and free choice. The subtle craft of influence. What is manipulation? Is it deception? Is it persuasion? Or is it just the skill of knowing human nature so completely that you can foresee, influence, and control the activities of people around you? The reality is, manipulation is all these things, and more. At its essence, manipulation relies on perception. To govern the mind, one must first recognize its weaknesses: fear, want, guilt, validation. These are the pillars upon which control is founded. The manipulator does not require raw force. He needs simply the right words, the right tone, the perfect timing. He is a builder of reality, crafting illusions so vivid that they become indistinguishable from fact. A master of deception recognizes one essential reality: people do not seek the truth, they want comfort. They want reinforcement of their own prejudices, hunger for approval, and will accept a falsehood if it calms their concerns or strokes their ego. This is where the manipulator thrives, not in obvious dishonesty, but in weaving the victim's own wishes into a believable web of control. The illusion of choice. A skilled manipulator never forces, he leads. He does not push, he recommends. He ensures that his target feels every step performed is their own choosing. This is the secret to genuine control, letting the puppet feel it has severed its cords. Consider the power of framing. When alternatives are presented in a manner that makes one option look overwhelmingly attractive, the individual feels they have chosen freely. But in truth, they were never offered a true option at all. The illusion is superb, seamless, and in their confidence, they remain blind to the unseen hand that lead them here. A more sophisticated manipulator refines this further. He does not only influence options, he seeds ideas. He encourages his victim to assume the notion was theirs to begin with. A whisper, a casual comment, an anecdote presented at precisely the right time, these apparently trivial things function as seeds. And once they take root in the subconscious, they grow into full-fledged beliefs. The power of fear and uncertainty. Fear is a strong tool, perhaps the most potent. A mind seized by fear becomes illogical, yearning for instruction. In this situation, people will cling to authority, to the one who provides protection. The manipulator whispers in the ear, portraying himself as the lone beacon of assurance amid a tempest of uncertainty. History is marked with the fingerprints of people who understood this well. Leaders that invented opponents to legitimize their dominance. Lovers who seeded seeds of mistrust to deepen their hold. Employers who quietly make people feel disposable to secure compliance. The approach is old, and yet it remains devastatingly effective. But fear alone is not enough. The manipulator must give relief. He must be the antidote to the poison he himself introduced. By delivering transient comfort, a false feeling of security, he assures continuous reliance. The victim, stuck in the cycle of dread and comfort, learns to trust only the one who holds the keys to both their agony and their redemption. The weapon of guilt. Guilt is a leash that ties the strongest of wills. It is the manipulator's silent ally, a force that makes his victims control themselves. A carefully placed sigh, a disappointed glance, an implication of wrongdoing, these are often more effective than direct confrontation. Why demand when one might only suggest? Why impose when the target can be made to impose upon themselves? The clever manipulator constructs a web of obligation. After all I've done for you, I thought you were different. I just don't know if I can trust you anymore. These comments sink deep, putting the victim into a position where they must show their commitment, their devotion, their value. And once they seek that approval, they are trapped. Advanced manipulators take guilt further by creating a sense of moral responsibility. If you truly cared, you would do this. A good person wouldn't hesitate. The victim is pushed into an ethical dilemma, driven to behave in a manner they feel is right, never understanding they are only obeying the manipulator's will. The subtle power of silence. Not every conflict is fought with words. Sometimes quiet is the deadliest weapon. The wait before a response, the unread message, the failure to acknowledge, it creates a vacuum, one that the victim frantically attempts to fill. Uncertainty produces worry, and anxiety wants solutions. A manipulator understands this. He lets the stillness hang heavy, compelling his victim to act, to explain, to apologize, to break first. And once they do, the power dynamic alters. The manipulator now controls not just their emotions but their fundamental perspective of reality. They will doubt themselves, worry whether they have done anything wrong, and in seeking reassurance, they will surrender up their authority voluntarily, breaking the will without breaking the spirit. A skilled manipulator does not destroy his subject, he bends them. He keeps people functioning, helpful, trusting in their own agency while gradually steering them toward his intended goal. A really broken individual is of no use. The objective is control, not annihilation. Through cycles of approbation and withdrawal, kindness and coldness, reward and punishment, the subject gets conditioned. They learn to forecast the manipulator's wants and adapt their conduct accordingly without even recognizing it. The unseen cords tighten, and eventually they no longer struggle. They comply, willingly, gratefully. The ultimate manipulation? To make the subject think that they need the manipulator, that their happiness, their success, their whole identity relies on the existence of this individual in their lives. At this stage, the victim no longer has to be controlled, they do it themselves. The puppeteer's dilemma. But manipulation is a double-edged sword. The puppeteer too gets trapped in his web. Lies must be preserved. Masks must be worn. One mistake, one contradiction, and the illusion breaks. Suspicion develops to realization, realization to revolt. And there is always the chance of another manipulator, someone who sees through the facade, who understands the game, who can turn the tables. The hunter might become the prey in an instant. The issue remains, can the master of control ever completely rest? Or is he condemned to remain in a world of mirrors, constantly watchful, forever wary? The final thought. Tonight, when you leave this room, ask yourself, have you been manipulated before? Are you being manipulated now? Would you even know if you were? Look closer. The shadows contain secrets. The words carry weight. And the game never stops. Good evening. And be cautious who you trust.